That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do one more example on that. Let's go into the field now, and let's talk about your guys unloading a truck that arrives on the job unexpectedly. Do you think your guys ever do that?
Yes.
Everybody say yes. Okay. All right, good. So let's take a look at that. So you get trucks from 3 different places. You get trucks from your local supply house. You get trucks from your over-the-road carriers. And then you get trucks from your own shop. Now, all 3 of those entities sometimes show up unexpectedly in your jobs, and almost always your guys will stop what they're doing and unload the material. Why do they stop and unload the material?
Because they have to.
Why do they have to?
Well, they got to get the truck out of there.
Why?
A vendor can't just sit there.
Why? Why is that my freaking problem?
Somebody's hollered at him to go off the job site.
Say it again.
Somebody's hollered at him because there's another truck to be unloaded.
I don't give a shit. This is
Well,
not my
you
problem.
need-
This is not my problem. When I
You're going to lose money if
Say
you
again?
don't. You'll lose money if you don't unload that material
why is that?
because you have dates to meet to install certain.
Okay,
material.
all right. So think logically. What you just said is we're going to lose money because we need the material. If we need the material that badly that it's a surprise that it shows up on the job, what is that really telling you?
Planning.
It's absolutely poor planning. It's absolutely poor planning. And it is forbidden in our company. No field worker will ever unload an unscheduled truck. Now, why? It's not just about standing on some sort of platitude or why?
It's
Opportunity loss.
wasted factor time.
Everything we do is about money. Everything we do is about money. And so this is real simple to control. In our purchase order language, it's clear in our purchase order language that we only accept deliveries at 1 of 2 times during the day. And so we only accept deliveries. I'll say 6:30, but for you it might be 7. So we either only accept deliveries at 6:30 or 11:30. I'll put 12 over here. What's that all about?
During the job.
So what happens? Yeah, what happens when a truck shows up? What do you have to do?
You got to stop.
You got to stop what you're doing, right? So you got to stop what you're doing, and so you're up on the 3rd floor. And what do the guys have to do?
Stop production.
They have to get down and out of the building.
Yeah, but before they go down and out, what do they have to do?
Pack their tools up.
They got to
Put their
pack their
stuff
tools
away.
up. They got to put their tools away. They'll lock them up, and they're going to get stolen. And so what they have to do is they have to demobilize. Then they have to go down to where the truck is that they weren't expecting. And since they weren't expecting, what haven't they provided for?
What they need to unload it.
How we're going to unload it? Do we need a lull, a forklift, a crane? What do we need? So then they got to figure out how they're going to get off the truck. Then what else haven't they figured out or decided?
Where they're going to put it.
Where are you going to put it? So too often what happens is they come down to the building, borrow somebody's lull, they offload it and stick it over here, and 2 days later, what's going to happen?
You got to move it again.
General contractors will say, hey, that's in the way, you got to move that out of here. Or it'll get damaged or stolen or beat up or whatever, right? And so we're building all kinds of excess and loss into our whole system here. And then once it's offloaded, then they got to go back up into the building and remobilize. Do we have lost time when we do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. How much?
4 hours.
All right. I heard somebody say 4 hours. All right. We know for sure how much lost time we have. And we're going to circle back to this when we're doing the change order session tomorrow. And so we know, and so you should make note of this. This is one of those things you should memorize, is that every time that you go, a field guy goes from a planned activity to an unplanned activity. The average worker, right? So by average worker, I mean an average qualified guy. I'm not talking about unqualified time. The amount of lost time is 2.5 hours. Now, I'll prove that to you tomorrow. I'll take it on faith today, but you need to know that that's a real number, and it's all bound up in this idea of learning curve. What does the learning curve mean?
It's the time that you have to that you have to learn what you're doing in order to become efficient with it.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. Let's say you've got 2 guys, and they're Yeah, this is okay. So you have two guys, and what they're doing is they're working on another phase on the job doing underground. And these are qualified guys, right? So these are qualified, these are two plumbers. And so they're putting underground in. And they've been doing that for 3 days, and so they've got a rhythm going, and so they're about as efficient as they can be. And then turns out you find out the general contractor is fixing to pour the third floor tomorrow, and he wasn't supposed to pour the third floor for 2 weeks. And you know you've got to get sleeves in because you don't want to be coring. So now you got to pull those two qualified plumbers in this example. You got to pull those two qualified plumbers off of this underground up to go and sleeve on the third floor. Now they're qualified guys. Do you have lost time?
Yes,
Yes. Why?
because they have to stop what they're doing, move all of that stuff into the gang box, what they're using currently, and they have to either go cut sleeves or maybe they're prefab, so you already have sleeves. You got to carry them up to the third floor. Then you have to have somebody lay it out and, check measurements and so on and so forth.
No, Kyle's got it exactly right. And you can tell he's done that, right? Because it's not just, too often people think, especially foremen will think, well, it's just about putting your tools away. That's no big deal. It's not 2.5 hours. No. It's about completely shifting gears, right? It's about, we're doing this, our head's in this, over that. It is about putting the tools away, but it's also the new tools. What do we need to go? What column am I measuring off of if I'm doing it old school and not shooting it, and blah, blah, blah. And so I will show you tomorrow where the industry data comes from that says a typical qualified worker is going to take him 2.5 hours to get to his peak efficiency. And that's the lost time. So now let's take and put some numbers on this. And so let's say you had a 4-man crew that was working and this truck showed up unexpectedly. And so 4 men times 2.5 hours per man is 10 hours. All right. And so from talking about yesterday, what you're supposed to be thinking quickly as a project manager about making decisions about, so you're going to decide whether or not we're going to unload this truck that came in unexpectedly. So you're going to multiply the 10 hours times what rate? Because you need to do this fast.
Times 4.
50.
But times 50, right? So
Times 50.
Yeah, $50 an hour, right? So now I know that if I'm going to have 4 guys go down and unload that truck that came in unexpectedly, that it's going to cost me $500. All right. You're my project manager. Should I ever want or allow you to make that decision? And the answer is, of course. I let you make all of my business decisions on the job because you're smart people, but I expected you to have done this. $500 is what it's going to cost us to do this thing. So then I'm going to divide by 0.03, which is net profit, because anything you give away, any favors you do for the customer, blah, 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 it's going to turn into dollars. So what's $500 divided by 0.03?
16,666.66.
All right, so it's 1666, and then I'd have to add the $500 back into it to actually make the profit on that job. So now we're talking about a let's say 17.2. $17,000 job. So you going down to unload that truck, your guy's going down to unload that truck to do somebody a favor, means I have to go and sell a $17,000 job, which then we have to build perfectly in order to make that up. I don't think that's a good exchange of value. Now, the reason your guys are doing it, because your guys are good guys and we all just want to go along and get along. And please stop doing that. The reason the truck from the